I'm actually looking forward to being in a room with you on the 28th of December in McCooey's, I believe, in Uri.
Yes, McCooey's one of the
Yeah.
fucking maddest places. Just
I've
mad.
never been.
It's yeah. Do you know what? It's great crack, and I'm so glad that a thing like that works. It's a cafe, and they turn it into a mini theater. But the first couple of times, it's funny to see teething problems. Like they had all these glass windows, as you would in a cafe, and mad jokes were just walking, and the stages which are back to the fucking street. So rather than buying a couple of curtains, which I said, lads, where's the curtains? Somebody will sponsor you for curtains. Like Guinness will give you free blinds. They didn't. And they went, oh, maybe, yeah, Jesus, we should do that. And his mad joke shows up and he's steamboats and he's wearing a Celtic jersey and stuff. And he's like, yeah. And the door, of course, is unlocked. So he's sticking his head pretty much onto the stage with me. And he was such a mess. And then they tried to get him out. And for a finish, I ended up sitting on somebody's lap in the front row, just watching this unfold for 10 minutes. Like it was fucking great. It's great. But I was back again about a month later. And pretty much my whole set was just talking about that guy. And just, what is this mad bastard of a place?
No, one of the maddest places I've gigged in recently was the Moy. I believe you've been in the Moy before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know them. I haven't done their club. Is it Hegarty? Who else is running that?
Yeah, Sean Haggerty's running that there, and his agent, Adam Rush, I believe you call him.
Oh yes, yeah. No, I've been in the Moy. Yeah. We stayed a weekend technically in the Moy, and that was something else. It was for Geddes' wedding. And Jesus, like the wedding was as a good wedding should be. It was a fine wedding, but that was it was only a sidetrack to the fucking madness that is that village. Like that, it's its own unity. It's its own union. Like it's just its own thing going on. There's country music blaring, people smoking indoors. It's like it's great. It's like it's 1982. Fantastic.
It's just stuck in its ways. Like that's the thing. It's got a lovely like telephone box in the middle of the Moy, and
yes,
you could look at it 1 minute and someone's taking a shit on it. And 2 minutes later, two people are riding in it with the shit still fucking steaming from it.
Nice.
It's just such a rough place. But I done that gig in PBs, and I just berated the Moy because it's pretty much my hometown. I live in Dungannon, and I just took the absolute fucking piss out of it. Because why the fuck not?
Do you know what? Something I noticed with any of my mates from the north of Ireland, which I've been corrected not to call it Northern Ireland, it's the north of Ireland. I'm like, okay, I don't know. All right, it's fine. I don't know the geography of my own county, lad. But what I can't get over is like, audiences and lads, they all seem to know that you have this unbelievable encyclopedia of fucking geography of the entirety of the northern half of this country. It's like, how do you know? Like, there are people that grew up here their whole life that don't know one village or towns, like, because they don't give a fuck. They like, if I went to Clonmel, one of the largest inland towns, and mentioned anything about any village within 5 miles, people would look at me like, I don't care. I don't know where that is, and it can all fuck off. Nobody has any grasp of anything geographical. But when I go up north, it's like, tiny villages and the team. Like people know the Moy and they go, it's a mad fucking whore of a place, like, or whatever. And they know villages from 100 miles away. You're fucking truckers or something. How do you know this shit? Like,
yes, because it's so small up here. We're losing every county. Because we need to fucking remember which parts are fucking ours.
Okay, right, yes, right. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. It's like we're the spoiled child down here who's had all the toys and can't remember all our toys. And you remember that apple you got in 1971 from the creepy uncle. I get you. Yes. Okay, right, yeah. Yep. That makes perfect sense.
He gave me that apple in the shed as well by himself.
Yeah, without any trousers. But look, you still got an apple.
You still got an apple. I was fed for a day, so yeah. Couldn't walk right for the following week, like, but be all right.
It's all right.
Everyone's uncle's done it. That's fine. I get it.
I was trying to think. Did I have? No, thankfully, no. I think we pretty much we're estranged from most of our relations, which is a healthy thing.
I'm very envious of you for two things. One, for your mustache.
Oh yeah. That's understandable.
It's gorgeous. Like it is. I don't know. I just want to admire it.
Do you know, it's was it McKechnie I was talking with, and he was admiring it. He was like, "What's the secret?" And I'm like, "There's no secret, but what lads tend to do is trim the shit out of mustaches because they don't. They're frightened. They're frightened to just stand back and let it be a fucking man of a mustache. You know what I mean? Like, let it fucking off. You know, sometimes you just gotta let the fucking dog off the leash, and that's the same thing with a mustache. You need the attitude to just go, look, it's time to stop trimming the shit out of it. Yeah, clip it out of your mouth, maybe, I don't know, maybe let it in there and fucking strain the soup. But let it grow, let it thicken out nice and thick. You want that big Ned Flanders thing going on. Anything under that, you're only fucking playing at it, like.
I know I love a good beard. I grew mine out over lockdown. Then when I went back to work, I had to shave it, unfortunately. But it's finding bits of food you haven't eaten in like a week is the bit
that's happening. Yeah, I like on and off. I've had beards and mustaches and stuff like that, and it's always been a major plus. Is that you find a fucking crunchy nut cornflake at 2:00 in the day. It's like, fuck, awesome. It's like finding a fiver in your arse pocket. You know what I mean? It's like yes. Yeah. It's the little wins you got to take out of the day. You know what I mean?
Or a little bit of bacon that you haven't eaten in a week.
Oh yeah. Oh. Beautiful. Yeah. I'd say lean into it. And I can't believe your work made you clip off your beard, because you could have just turned around for religious reasons and said, I have to have one. Salam alaikum, brother. Now, what you going to do with that?
I would have got put out.
That kind of workplace. Fair enough. I can appreciate that too. All right. They know what they are, and they're not bending for anybody. Fair enough.
it's like, you know, they're starting this whole no jab, no job thing. It's like if you have a beard, no job sort of thing now, really.
Well, I suppose the priesthood has always been clean shaven. In fairness, fair play to you. You know what I mean?
I'll be the farthest thing from a priest, like. And the other thing that I'm envious of you for is the fact you have shared the stage or been in the presence of the great Rick Mayall.
Yeah. And I again, just much like the mustache, I absolutely understand why people would be jealous of that. And I would be jealous of the situation had I not been the person that got to hang with him for a week.
Unbelievable. He's one of my favorites of all time. See him as Flashheart and Blackadder. And
that's what he was really like in real life. That was who he wasn't. Really? He wasn't really Eddie. He wasn't posh, but he was. You know what I mean? He's English posh. You know what I mean? All them lads are. If you're able to make it in the 80s, you had a trust fund behind you. Do you know what I mean? They all had, like, and let there be no mistake, 90% of the famous people you see right now have wealthy parents. That's the reality. Like, there's very few make it through the cracks. Conor McGregor went to a fucking private school. You know what I mean? So so it's there's always a fail-safe typically. But what I will give him is that he had developed a style that was so him. But really, in real life, especially if there was a few people around at all, he was Captain Flashheart over every other character. You know what I mean? And charming. Before you know it, you'd have your trousers off going, I don't know. I think we should do this. I know. I don't know why my trousers are off, but he was that charming, like phenomenal charm. Like, there was girls on the crew who were too young to know really much about him. And he was a big ogre. Like, he was a big man. Like, surprisingly, he was a big man. Like, he was, over 6 foot, strongly built, but he was kind of overweight, and he was loud and garish and smoked fags up into the air and long hair. Everything that you wouldn't imagine a girl of 21 would be into. But there was just, they couldn't understand it. They're like, he has this magnetism just coming off him, even standing there smoking a cigarette, like, just going, there's something. And they didn't know him from fucking Adam. But for some reason, everybody on the crew and cast were like, he has whatever it is, he has it. Like, the same thing Muhammad Ali had, the kind of way he just had. Really, he had, he would command a room just by standing there. And 90% of people mightn't have a clue who he was.
That's wild. That really is wild. Like, he's probably one of the best on-stage comedic actors that I've ever witnessed. Like, bottom with Edmondson.
Yeah. I mean, it would take a beast to keep in with him. Like, Edmondson, probably doesn't get enough credit to keep in with him, because he's, do you know what I mean? He's Formula One standard, and to keep in, alongside him, and phenomenal. Like, how they held it together. Like, I mean, even he'd be literally standing off camera, and he'd go, just back in a second, darling. And he'd go in front of the camera, and the camera almost, thank God they had you know, it was a decent production money wise, and they had the gear, because it'd be a crying shame to catch that man on anything less than the top end gear, because it was like, you'd look through the back of the camera and you're going, what the fuck am I looking? And you're looking at magic. Like, you're literally looking at somebody who 2 seconds ago was talking about just something historic with you in a chat, and then go, if you wouldn't mind, I'll be back in 1 second, and just the switch would go. And again, as I described it before, it literally was like being an amateur boxer getting to hang out with your greatest hero for the week. Like,
That's class. That is actually unbelievable.
and he came to see me do stand up one of the nights.
Did he?
Yeah, he was bored in the fucking whatchamacallit. We had some very fun chats, because he kind of picked me out as a bit of a pal, I think, because the rest, while they were actors and they were in their own head, I was a stand-up on the show who was dicking about as an actor. Do you know what I mean? I was really bluffing it. I was just getting away with it. Whereas we kind of, you know, he had a big interest in like English history and Irish history and stuff like that, and he'd never considered it. And then one of the nights he was bored. He was in a hotel by himself all week. Like, so I was, fuck, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, I'm actually doing stand-up. He was like, really? Can I come in? I went, yeah. And there was him and about 7 people in the club, in the International, and he came up the back door, and I just said, listen, I have a mate coming in there, and he had a kind of a hat on. And to be fair, nobody calmed down. You wouldn't. When would you expect Rick Mail to be sitting at the back of a comedy club, like on a fucking Thursday or Wednesday night, like? And there he is sitting there, and I played it like I was playing to the fucking 3 Arena. You know what I mean? I went bananas, because of course you're playing to one person, really, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, one of the coolest things that I will ever get to do, I would imagine.
That's a person I would have killed to have seen live.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, and then, I mean, fucking unfortunately, he was teed up, to come back for series 2 of the show we were doing, and he fucking died. It was a weird one, since he was never right after the quad accident. He came off a quad bike years previous, bust his head open, had to go on blood thinners, and basically had to stay on blood thinners and a couple other tablets as well for the rest of his life, for fear of that, which meant he couldn't drink. And I remember he was there for the rap party, or back at the hotel that he was staying in, and he was buying me pints. I say buying, it was an open bar, but he kept on throwing whiskeys and pints at me, and I was going, man, I'm going to be steaming, Rick. I'm going to be fucking steaming. He goes, you are drinking for 2 of us. And you do as you're told, like, and I was locked. I was fucking locked by by halfway during the night. But it was him chucking the drink at me, because he was drinking vicariously through me, which I was more than happy to do. Like,
that must be one of like your favorite moments. Like it's probably a highlight of your life, really.
Yeah. You I probably didn't fully appreciate it at the time, because long times on sets, sitting arsing about. I showed him how to drive a Segway. And there's I suppose it was 2013, is the dawn of, I suppose, everything being captured, i.e. Instagram and TikTok and stuff, where people's whole lives have been captured. Not that we could have done much, because there would have been, non-disclosure and stuff, where you wouldn't allowed people pull your phone out anyway, but still you would have gotten a couple of more snaps and whatnot of myself and Rick flying around in fucking Segways. Like, you're going... Like, I probably couldn't have even put it up, because people would be so fucking jealous to end up disliking me, because I would be. I'd go, fuck this guy, hanging out on Segways with Rick Mail as his hair flops in the wind, like,
Yeah, I kind of want to end this podcast now, because
I get it.
But I've actually seen you live a couple of times. I seen you, I think it was Galway 2019 you did?
I would have been there the last few times anyway. Yeah. Where in Galway? What show was it?
I can't even tell you what it was, because you think you can get us were on, I believe.
I think we opened the show that year. We did the launch that year, and then we did one together. That was filmed for RT in a tent during the day. But I know
was the tent one. I can't remember whether it was the tent one or not. I was fucking airlocked. I was absolutely banjacked.
Yeah. I'd say if it was. Because nobody was drunk. It was the middle of the day. I would imagine the one you would have seen would have been the opening ceremony. The opening gig. You know what I mean? As if we're going to come in with flags and shit. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say it was the opening of the festival, I would imagine. But yeah, myself and Geddes, that was a good night actually. Yeah, we got
That
steaming.
was a good night.
Yeah.
But it's not the only night you've shared recently on the stage with Gaddis, is it? Congratulations on 200.
Yes, yeah. Did 200 and no better vocals himself and Gordo Rochford, like two, fucking great mates, two podcast fucking champions. Like, and it wasn't even a question. I just said, "Do you fancy? Are you around?" And he went, "I'm fucking not, but I am now." And like he literally got in from doing a gig in London, went home, changed the jocks, washed the face, and booted down to fucking Galway, like, and fucking. But again, powerful. But you do that for for your mates, like, and he knew the crack would be nice. He wanted to meet Gordo stuff as well, and I think they're collaborating and stuff. And I mean Gordo Rochford, of course, he's been basically the godfather of my podcast or whatnot, because he's made all the wrong moves, but all the fucking right moves too. You know what I mean? So
I've had the privilege of him being on my podcast as well. So I have.
Brilliant.
What a fucking man.
He's some machine, isn't he? He can go on a fucking rampage there, and I'm not joking with Chase.
I was thinking, listening back to it, I say, "Well, Gordo, how are you?" And then I don't talk for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just him going, and it's fucking, it's so good. Like, he's fucking brilliant. He
feels, he does, like, he forgets sometimes, because, and he said it to me, that he's trying to make it more conversation when he's doing other people's podcasts and stand back and let them ask the questions, because he has such an ability that nobody, but as I said to him, I think lads get you on because you have such a freakish ability to talk ad nauseum about a subject, like, and still make it entertaining, throw in a couple of, like, he's an unbelievable singer, a really good impressionist, has a fucking recall memory. Like, he can remember, like, if he was into sports, man, he would be the top broadcaster in the world, if he was into, like, because he would remember when some fucker's sock fell down in the final of whatever, and his recall is phenomenal for a guy who did a lot of drugs back in the day. Like, he should have burnt a lot of brain cells. I mean,
fuck. Yeah, he's clean living now, isn't he?
Oh, he's clean as a whistle now. Yeah. He did all the drugs. He smoked all the drugs. They all went. And I mean, when we hung out first, we hung out first, and I met him for the first time. We were both complete booze monkeys, like brutes for drink, But I wound it back a bit, and he actually just pulled the anchor altogether. I was I can't, because I'm doing too much of the drinking. But
living in lime.
Yeah.
What was the aftermath of that? Like the 200th episode? What was it like?
It would to come off a lockdown, and then it was almost like we were all bowled together, you know what I mean? Like, the audience were in on it. They were all like, the audience, a rake of the audience actually had a buckshot barbecue beforehand. You know what I mean? When they had buckshot, they'd come up with a shot and everything and named it after the podcast. So they all came in nicely oiled, in great form. They made cupcakes and shit. It was just cool. And then, because there was the talk of doing it in the outdoor tent thing, and it was like, oh, fuck me. It's hard enough to it's hard enough for stand-up to create an atmosphere. But Tommy Tiernan was swinging for the fences that week, trying to get life out of people who were sitting on, picnic benches in the pissings of rain outside, wellies and stuff, and the suggestion was put, look, you can have a capacity of a certain amount, winky, winky, in the club.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, we can control everything in the club. we had sketches filmed and everything. They have a whole AV set up inside there. I was like, let's fucking do it there and just knock the tickets on the head. And the people that really love the show will pretty much have gotten it. A couple of people now couldn't come and stuff like that. And it was bummer, but we filmed it and it's there for Patreon, obviously, like, but it was just, and then afterwards, it was just so fucking class to hang out with some of my best mates when we'd been locked away for so long after doing, that podcast could have ran for 3 hours, and the two boys were ready to go, because Geddes was just getting all giddy because he was getting to know Gordo literally on stage. And because he literally got there while we'd already fucking started. And he was getting giddy, and Gordo can literally do 7-8 hours. I'm like, I get you boys, but these people want to get to the fucking bar too and want to take a piss. You know what I mean? And I think an hour and 40 minutes, hour and 50 minutes is plenty. You can just pick it up in the room too. Like, people are kind of going, this is fun class, but this is too much for my brain. I came for silliness, and And
it was when Gordo just started going off about fucking aliens and shit. I was like, yeah, here we go. We're here for another fucking 5 hours. Let's go.
And that's where you need to send him, is off after aliens. You know what I mean? And because there's no, like, you're never going to get it better. Like, you may as well, you're never going to get better than a fella who can give you song and verse about aliens, and not just going, I think they exist. He literally will give you the statements from the CIA redacted, and he ridiculous, far less scary and aggressive Alex Jones essentially is what Gordo is like. Because Alex Jones, well, he's talking about islands and fucking lizard people, and you're going, yeah, but you're a bit rapey yourself now, Alex. That's the only thing about you, like. Get a lozenge, man. Get a lozenge for starters. Get this Strepsil or something. Because
Alex Jones is quite rapey looking. Like, he is the sort of fella that if he gets on top of somebody, he's not getting off.
No. And that voice in their ear, imagine that in your ear as he mounts you from behind. I'm just telling you, Nathan, I love you. I like that beard now. It rubs off my cheeks and shit. Yeah. This isn't weird, right? Because we're just two guys that just, love each other.
I'm getting hard.
Yeah. Again, it's understandable.
Yeah, don't you tease me that voice, fucking hell. That's my sort of thing,
Yeah, he's worth listening to if you can get. But the thing for me is the voice. After a while, I'm going, Jesus, man, can you, I don't know, take an inhaler or something, like, But he does not sound long for this world. You know what I mean? He sounds like a man who fucking goes through 50 major a day. Like, he does not sound good.
No, see, before you even start comedy, like, what was the thing what made you want to go into comedy? What was the transition? What made you say, right, fucking, I'm going to do stand up here?
It was literally that. It was, fuck it, I'm going to do stand up here. Because there was a nut up or shut up moment kind of put in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd loved all the time I worked in construction. I worked in construction for years, and I came up from laboring on sites and stuff, and then became a civil engineer and a site engineer and running sites, and it was fucking running sites with men, and it was frantic and it was animalistic and aggressive, and there was never a time to fucking reflect and get fucking sad. Do you know that kind of way? It was just all up fucking 100 miles an hour, and I fell in sync with that very nicely, and I enjoyed the shit out of it. Like, the fucking rows with fellas and fucking go to nose with fellas. I loved it. I loved that shit. And then the arse fell out of the country, and the only thing that I could get a job at, was working for an insurance loss adjusting firm. And essentially, you're going out to bases that, fucking the walls out falling down their house or some shit. And initially, they coaxed me to the role in that I would be the engineer. Literally go out and say, yeah, that wall's fucked, and walk away again. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. I've seen enough fucked walls. I can do that. It quickly morphed into me going out with, like, fucking, a notepad and a fucking whole pile of this shit. And I'm going, and what killed me more, I didn't mind, like, the job was terrible in the sense that it is every day people are having the worst day of their life. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody you're meeting is having a brutal day. The odd person is pulling an old stroke, but for the most part, people are having a fucking bad day. For me, it was the administration and the red tape, and I had gone all my professional life coming out of college or whatever, I never having to worry about that kind of stuff. Whereas it was all on the word of the man you were speaking to. Like, it was like, is that fucking done? No. Why the fucking it done? I get it done. Fucking do it now. And that was it, and there was no, I'm going to have to send him an email. Or we're going to have it. And that's what this new job was. And it killed me. It was like, lads, we are behind on a rake of fucking work here because we got to write reports after reports after reports. And I was going packing it in anyway. And I lost the fuck. I was losing the I wasn't made for any office. I was walking, I walked straight from construction site into an office, and I'm speaking like somebody's still on a construction site. Like, where other people are tapping away quietly. Oh, sorry, could you pass over the stapler? Meanwhile, I walk past and boot a fucking printer through a wall going, oh, it's cunt of a fucking thing. Again, how can you work with such pieces of fucking shit around this fucking place? I'll tell you one thing. I'm setting fire to the fucking lot of it. And I would say that on a daily basis, shit like that. And it was, I know it wasn't Javin, but there was one woman that I got on with. She was sound as a pound, and just told her a story one day just because I wanted to tell a funny fucking story about a kind of thing that kind of happened with a weird guy that was up in the shop. And then I elaborated on it. She was laughing so hard she got a fucking nosebleed. Yeah, she burst a fucking thing in her nose. It was like, all right.
Fucking hell.
So we got that sorted, brought her to the doctor and stuff. And then she was like, you have to be telling shit like that on the stage, man. You're walking around this office and you're going to murder somebody because you're like a fucking caged animal. You need to have some dramatic out. And I was like, the fuck you talking about dramatic? What? Like, I'll just bury it with alcohol. What are you fucking talking about? Like, you know what I mean? That's what you do. She's like, no. And she had obviously had, thank God, some notion that there is a way for this aggressive outlet that's in you to fucking, you can put it through on a stage in a performance of an art or something like. And I had no concept of that. And she kind of teed it up. I went, yeah, whatever. And I was in Cork at the time, and she rang a couple of comedy clubs without me knowing, and then kind of tricked me to go for a drink with her and her husband and a couple of more to where there was a comedy club. I was like, what the fuck? And the two lads who were running at the time came over and they were like, you must be Tom. I went, you must go fuck off. I'm not. No way. I'd never even darkened the door of a comedy club in my life. This isn't happening. And in fairness, your man was like, yeah, you're right. It's not fucking happening. You think I'm putting it on you on my fucking stage? This isn't some movie. Like, you need 5-6 weeks of thinking about this and then come to me when you have 5 minutes and commit to it. Like, I was like, yeah, buddy, you fucking stayed that night, had a great night, came back with all my mates the following night. They were delighted. Of course, I brought like a dozen lads. None of us had been in a comedy club before, didn't know the concept of it, even though there was only a couple of miles away from us. Irish people don't have the concept of a comedy club the same way they would have so many other things, which is such a pity. There'd be more comedy clubs around the country otherwise. But that night, seemingly I got really fucking drunk and agreed to move my gig forward for 5 weeks to the following weekend, which I had completely forgotten about until the following morning when your man rang me. He says, it was Billy Anderson was the guy's name. He's dead. He died since. And how do you spell O'Mahony? He's American. I told him, I was like, what the fuck, did I break something? Do I owe money to somebody? What? I hung up in the bed following morning, Sunday morning or Monday morning on the way to the building site or the way to the office. I stopped in the Spar and there was a fucking poster with my name on it. Never, in my head, I hadn't agreed to fuck all. In my head, I was not doing that gig in 5 weeks either. And they could all fuck off. That was just pie in the sky. That's not happening. Like, you know what I mean? It's like agreeing to whatever. And it was to be in the soccer club of the village on the suburb of Cork in West Passage West, where I was living. I was like, rang him. What the fuck? He goes, well, what are you going to do? You going to be a pussy or are you going to come do it? I was like, oh, you fucking prick. You had to say that word, didn't you? And then there's a 5-year-old in the back of my head going, you're a fanny. You're a fanny if you don't do this. And yeah. And then I fucking did it. Yeah, I went and did it. And I was lucky that the same night there was couple of comedians on that were fucking beyond brutal, but what was they'd done enough stage time to have confidence, so that actually didn't endear themselves to the audience. At least if you're brutal going up for the very first night, people have a warmth. They're going, well, it's his first fucking time. I could put myself. These guys had the cock of the walk like they were long-term comedians, and they were terrible. So at least I could sit in between all of that and not be too brutal, like so. But yeah, from the first one off, that was it. There was no switch went in my head, never go back to normal, never. And that was it. That was how it came about. It was literally nut up or shut up, bitch.
Yeah, it's such a rush though, isn't it? Like I've only started comedy there in the last like month or two, like a month and a half, doing my first fucking gig in the Pavilion, and I won the crowd vote and won the fucking thing. But talk about it, I didn't sleep that night because I was fucking that buzzed from it.
Oh yeah,
it's fucking wild. Like I've never had a fucking rush like it in my life. There's
no explaining it to people either. Like you can't go, oh, it's class. It's just like, you only know what class is in your head. You know what I mean? So you can't, you fucking rock a room. You rock a room of 7 people, or you rock a room of 7,000. You rock a fucking room, like, and you're going, man, there is nothing. And I don't give a fuck what you can put in front of me. There's nothing I can compare to that exact moment, that millisecond where your car could be on fire, your foot could be fucking hanging off. You know what I mean? You could be literally shitting in your pants at the time, and all that's gone because you're rocking a room at the time. Like, and there's no telling people, well, I rocked the room. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. No, you don't get it. You don't get it. It's literally like taking heroin. It's a different fucking thing. Like,
it's wild. Like, but then again, there's nothing worse than down in your hole for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, but with the highs come the lows, like, and there's no such thing as a high if there isn't a fucking low. Like, if you're doing slamming nothing but net, which I've seen, I've seen the emergence of, I suppose, some, I suppose, people who became not the easy is wrong, because everything's new, is changing and all the rest of it when it comes to, say, internet comedians, and they'll garner this huge following, and people will, they'll, in that 30 seconds that they make a clip online, people will come away going, that's the greatest comedian I'd say I've ever seen. You're like, Brendan, you're taking a shit while watching that person. You're going to rate that over fucking Billy Connolly. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. And then they go see him live and the person doesn't have the chops, and you're going, they come out going, what the fuck? The world lied to me. You're like, well, and also for that person, it's really, really fucking hard on them too, because they're going, but they'll always go back. Like, I've had people say to me, I just don't do the clubs. Yeah. I mean, because they're very clicky. It's like, no, it's called hard fucking work. They are clicky because no comedian wants to let you in. Nobody wants to let you in, especially if they for a second think you're a threat. You're not. It's a lone wolf fucking territory. Like, there's nobody putting a fucking arm around you. This isn't a fucking club. This is dog eat fucking dog. You know what I mean? And that's unfortunately it. You're either built for it or not. And then, but you'll get people saying that, going, yeah, I don't do the clubs. I just play for my fans. And you're like, you keep doing that. You keep doing that. Like, but trust me, what you think is good is acceptable to them. But if I dropped you into a wolf pit of fucking people who have no idea where you are, you're going to get fucking eaten alive. Like,
yes, I've quickly discovered that it's such a fucking war zone. Such a fucking war zone that, you will get shot in the back plenty of times by somebody you think it's fucking, willing to, guide you and help you a wee bit.
Yeah. Now you'll get to a point too where you'll build your mates. You know what I mean? You'll build mates too, like, but that has to come with respect. You know what I mean? You'll all be at a similar standard of fucking murderers, like, and you'll only get that from gigging your bollocks off, like. And but you're all having in the back of your mind that at any point a joke could completely shit itself, like. But with time and I suppose, what would you call it? I suppose experience comes stage maturity, and you can start, like, I've found myself laughing, going, trust me, you take cunts, that's funny. But, we'll put that away for a while, and I literally will say it going, fuck, that was funnier in my head. Right. We'll put that away and move on to something, but, and you develop, you're not taking so much of a chance every time, because, you're developing things that are funny. Like, you know what I mean? If it was a risk every single time, then you're a mental patient. You know what I mean? By the time you're 10 years in, 12 years in, you're a complete mentaler. If every piece of material you write, you think, don't know, will this work? You just fucking straight up no. Now, some you'll go, didn't work as good as I thought. Or others, fuck me, that hit like a hammer and I don't know why. But, it's like a trade of any sort. If you, after a while, you're good enough, but there'll still be surprises down the line, like.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, I've already got like a 10-minute of like real dirty blue shit, and then like a 10-minute set of like real clean vanilla stuff. Because I open with like a one-liner saying, like, how nervous I am, there's something dribbling down my leg and I hope it's sweat. And people might go, and I'm like, right, well, that's the clean material. But if they love it, I'm like, right, fucking on that dirty shit, So it's just fucking all on that. But do you remember the first gig where you did just die on your ass?
I don't know what the first one was, but I can remember some, like, because you just try and put it out of your mind, like, you just try and quench that fucking delete the fucking thing, like. But looking back in hindsight, you're kind of like, yeah, grand, yeah, but. And you go through the whole fucking thing going, I blame this and I blame that. And a lot of times there is something to blame for it. You know what I mean? There's something to fucking blame for, but it can be, there's no point looking for it. You should be at a point where you can fucking rip it regardless. You know what I mean? And I think, man, there's been fucking loads of places. Comedy will always die typically in a place where comedy is not supposed to be. So, like, if it's in a comedy club, you're on a winner to a degree. It's up to you now to fucking, these people have come with that notion. But man, I've done fucking gigs where you're going, what the fuck? Nobody are doing a gig for the Garda headquarters down in Templemore. I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, nobody wants me here. Like, it was one guy's bright idea to put me in. And the thing was, it wasn't just me. Like, there was like music. There was a fucking like charity award ceremony with the big boss man Guard, who had been head of the PSNI and then took over on Guard Síochána. And he was down, and it was and there'd been a really fucking serious whatchamacallit on the night before, a revealing documentary about the guards on the night before. So everybody in the country, Garda-wise, were on tenterhooks. I had no business being there. They didn't know I was coming. The senior guards that found out that I was there, who they were king shits in the place. And it is like do you know what I mean? They're king of the castle in there. They don't do being guards anywhere else. They're just trainers in there, like drill sergeants of sorts. In their head, they've got all the jokes because you got new recruits every year. So they're using the same fucking material for 20 years on these new recruits. And then this motherfucker lands up and they're like, apparently we've a comedian, a fucking comedian coming up next. And I'm at the side going, motherfucker, I'm getting paid for 20 minutes a week's fucking wages from me. Anyway, fuck you. And I went, and I went out and I went, I don't know who the fuck that guy is, but I talked for him for half an hour and he's one unfunny cunt. Trust me, you're going to get better training off me for the next 20 minutes. And but also but again, like you can blame the room there. Like I walk in, it's this brightly lit tennis or basketball court, no seats. And I walked in early doors and I'm like, the fuck is this, lads? At least turn the lights down a bit, put on some tunes in the background. And they're like, really? So this, but also then there's nights in the odd comedy club where you go on, they're like, they're just not having it. They're just not having it. Or they stick a gig on the corner of a pub and all these people want, Farmer Michael, and you go on there and you go, I got nothing racist to say. I got nothing. I got some jokes that definitely worked just up the road. And that's not to take away from the likes of Farmer Michael or whatever. He has his audience. He's worked hard to get in his audience. But sometimes that's what a whole group of people come with. Or people are there to support a GAA club and they're going, listen, can I just fucking drink? And you're going, I don't want to get in the way of you drinking, but I got to get through this to get paid. So, but yeah, I mean, there's been countless. If anybody wants to go listen to the Tom and Jerry show, we've a whole 5 seasons of my worst gig ever. And you would question anybody's sanity if you listen back to them all those worst gigs ever. You go, why would you do this to yourself? It's because when you turn around, they by the law of averages, you should be having better ones than worse ones. And if you're having that, then you're going in the right direction,
that first one, like, I remember I was saying about how that dirty one-liner, they got the 10 minutes of fucking dirty stuff, 10 minutes of fucking clean stuff. I didn't have the clean stuff at the time. So I did that and everyone went, oh. And I was like, well, fuck, you're in for a long 9.5 minutes here, folks.
Yeah.
I was just fucking bombing. It's
was your first gig 10 minutes, was it?
No, my first gig was 5 and it was a real nice tight 5. So it was, I had it nailed down. But then the second gig, you got a 10-minute set in the Pavilion like 2 weeks later, and I fucking had to work on a new 5 minutes. And
I always think that's hard on lads. I remember Billy wouldn't let me out at the 7-minute mark and I kept on doing that gig. I was very, very lucky. They left me back every week. Every week they let me back to do that same club. It was a club called the Crack House. It was just all sorts of perfect at the time. It was perfect. It was this fucking room that was thrown together. It'd be hipster now if you actually put it together. It was all shit out of somebody's garage just to fill the back room of a club. And it was, he wouldn't let me out at a 7 minute. No fucking way. Go under, actually, if you want. Actually, I would ask you to even tighten it. You know what I mean? And he wouldn't, for a good 6 months, wouldn't let me beyond it. Might trial a new bit, but I'd have to clip off a bit and trial a new bit. And then after the 6 month mark, he was a great mentor. By the time you're a year in, you've got now 15 minutes of fucking gold. Gold by a year old standard. And I mean, they're almost, it seems to change club by club and all stuff like that. It would be nice if there was a kind of a pathway set up, or at least a guide, because there's nothing like you having that perfect fucking 7 minutes in your head, and it's golden. Like, it'll work in clean or dirty. You know what I mean? You've polished it in such a way that it'll fucking get through people who suck in through their teeth or whatever, but it'll get through with a charm. You know what I mean? Like, because you can sell anything if you can charm your way through it, no matter how filthy it is. Like,
yeah, that's the thing, because I'm a story-based comedian. So the thing that I was telling 2 5-minute stories, and I had nothing else. I couldn't back out of it. I was so close to fucking just dropping the mic and walking out, but I wanted to persevere and get the stuff done. But it was the first gig that my girlfriend came to watch me at.
Oh, lovely. Yeah,
what the
lovely.
fuck? We broke up 9 times in the car home.
Yeah, I bet you did. Yeah, I bet you fucking did.
I was fucking raging.
Yeah,
Never again.
Herself has come to a couple of fucking howlers of mine too. Like, and she was a bad luck. She was claiming that I was actually a shit comedian, but I was getting away with it, even though I was like literally making a profession from it. I was going, I'm just saying, every time I see you, you fucking have a terrible gig. I'm like, yeah, well, you're a fucking unlucky charm. That's what it is. So it was. There was like 3 gigs over a fucking year period, and all 3 which came to were just a bit shit. You know what I mean? They were a bit shit.
It reminds me of that Bernard Manning joke where he's like, Becky, you're a jinx, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well, Bernard Manning, by all accounts, like, I know he got a bad rap for being fucking racist, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But by all accounts, he was a fucking machine. Like, he could do an hour and a half at a men's club speaking filthy, racist, dark shit, and turn around then and go across the road to, you know, a village fair or village fete and do an hour and a half of spotless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But he did gay clubs and stuff like that. That doesn't really come out. He did gay clubs as well.
Yep.
And he was, you know, so he could, like, I think it's very easy for people to jump to, oh, I don't think that's, I was on a radio show a couple of weeks back and somebody was bitch moaning and complaining. We have a couple of texts in here saying, they don't think it was some, I can't, was it a John Cleese clip or something? Somebody was bitching about it. And we're going, I don't think it's funny. I literally, they took the caller and I went, but sure, what would you know about it? And the man was stumped and everybody was stumped. It was a good 5-6 seconds. I went, no, honest to God, what would you know about funny? Like, well, I know I like a good joke as much as the next person. I said, no, that's like, I like art as much as the next person, but I know nothing about art. But at least I have the intelligence to know, hold my hand up and go, I couldn't paint any of that. And I don't know how that man painted any of that. But I know the odd one that I think would look nice on the wall. That does not make me an art expert.
Yeah.
You liken, you know, Kevin Bridges in the O2 or Michael McIntyre's joke about Netflix, you know, that shit does not make you an expert. I hate to tell you, but like if a master craftsman joiner had built a kitchen and you didn't like a bit of it, that's all you did. You didn't like a bit of it. At no point would you go, stand back, I'll fucking sort this. Mm-hmm. Because that's a master craftsman who's put 12 years into being a fucking joiner. You go, sorry, would you mind moving those, you know, drawers around for me, please? Because you're the expert. You know, and it's a weird thing that comedy, for some reason, like people will hold their hand up immediately and say, I cannot sing. Mm-hmm. So I know nothing about the nuances of fucking voice control, you know, fucking voice coaching. I know nothing about it. So I'll just leave that to the experts. I know what I like and that's that. But weirdly, comedy is this thing that so many people row in on and go, I fucking know comedy. You're like, no, you fucking don't. There's so much technical fucking stuff to it. You can't. There's so much technical stuff to it that it's right up there with the best fucking trades. Like, it's actually worse because it's so fucking sleek. Do you know what I mean? The stuff is so fucking subtle. You know, and when you watch like somebody raise their eyebrow a millimeter, like Rick Mail, you go, see that? You can see that eyebrow from 100 fucking yards away. But it's something that he knew to do that took him fucking 20 years to learn how to do. You know, so I would belong in telling the likes of them fuckers to fuck off. You know, what would you know? It's a great fucking phrase. Oh, what would you know about it? What the fuck would you know about it? Nah.
That's the thing, like, because I've clipped I videoed all my shows and stuff, and like sent that out to different photos and stuff, and like sent different friends that couldn't go to the show, and someone were like, "Oh, it's not very funny." I'm like, "Well, fucking, you sign up tomorrow, then fucking then you can't just go." At least I had the balls to go up there and fucking do it.
The number one thing you can do is, even if you just press record and put it in your pocket, the phone, like, and just so you get the audio, and count the next time how many times you say or you know. Yeah. Stuff that isn't necessary to the actual dialogue. If you wrote in the script, it would never be written in. So that's kind of the way. Before you know it, there'll be 15% clipped off your fucking set. And that gets people's attention, because that's what subliminally people go, oh, I couldn't speak like that because I don't speak like that. And you shouldn't speak like a normal person, because they didn't fucking pay to see a normal person. They paid to see somebody do something that they can't fucking well do, you know?
I'm right.
But yeah, I've had early doors. I remember one lad, he was a fucking bellend, the same fella. I played rugby with him and just ran into him. And he went, I heard you're doing comedy. I went, yeah. Well, I was only, maybe a year or whatever. But you're not funny. I went, yeah, I was never funny to you because I fucking hated you. Why would I give you any fucking humor? Why would I give you anything other than pass me the fucking ball? Why? You're funny to people you fucking like because you're trying to impress them. Or in this instance, I'm trying to get paid. But to you, clearly I fucking am. But what it was burning him was that in a weird way, it was like, but I didn't fucking see it. So how dare you reveal it to the world when I didn't know about it? Because this guy was a fucking maniac, like, you know what I mean? He was a good player in fairness, but he was a fucking maniac who believed in fucking knowing everything he should know, that kind of way.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck the begrudgers to anybody who goes, yeah, I'm not sure about that. You go, thanks very much for your expert. But literally reply the next time and go, what the fuck would you know about it? Like, come back to me when fucking, somebody who's actually, I respect their opinion. I fucking pass his judgment on it.
Yeah, like I think I just said to the guys, like, there's 100 other people in that video that disagree with you, and they're still reconstructing the roof of the fucking place after I went on stage. So fuck you, you can't.
Yeah, like there's also they'll never translate fully. Like you'll almost never get it fully on camera. Like I've done TV stand up, and 2 or 3 times it completely fell on its face because it was overproduced, underproduced, or they just didn't give a fuck and they just wanted to film a thing and take no life from it whatsoever. Like we did one, and I don't know how many, I must send them the annual fucking email to ask them to take it down, but RTE did a thing years ago and a couple of us got to the final. It was the kind of a nationwide tournament, and they filmed one of my sets, and it was so fucking, it came across so flat because they forgot to fucking mic the audience. And they had these cameras that were fucking like on a boom, they'd fucking tracks. I'm like, you don't need any of that shit. Like, look at the Apollo. It's literally a 3-camera setup and then a 4th on a fucking person who's laughing in the audience, and they keep on cutting back to him. And they forgot to mic the audience, so it literally looks like I'm playing to nobody. And it can be fucked up so easy because they don't have anything invested in it. They're pretty much getting paid to film a thing or record the audio of. And I remember that 2019 comedy festival. I've told this story a bunch of fucking times, but it's perfect for this, and that they were all there, big production company there to film this thing. And of course, there's an audience there, and the audience are people who are middle of the day. It's in a tent. Everybody's sober, cold. They've got these tons of fucking cameras everywhere. Your average person is not comfortable with giant ass cameras. So the guy hosting is Danny O'Brien, and he was breaking his bollocks to get some life into the room. He knew what he was doing, and he was going, look, there are fucking cameras everywhere, but look, let's get some fucking... And he did. He spent 15 minutes, even though they were raging, they wanted him to spend 5 minutes on stage and then bring me. And he bust his bollocks to get some life into the room. And just as I'm about to go on, because I had to go on first because I was doing a play on the other side over in Dundalk, the other side of the fucking country. So I had to go on first, get in the car and go. And this woman, just I'm about to get called, called me to the stage. She's like, Tom, is it? She's the head producer. And I'm like, what? Yeah. She goes, yeah, can you, when he calls your name, will you wait about 60 seconds? And we'll cut it all together. And then, you go up. I said, fucking why? The camera fall over or something. She goes, no. There's a thing on the stage that we just need to strike it off the stage, get it off the stage. I said, what's on the fucking... She goes, there's an additional microphone that doesn't look good. I tell you what, you have somebody fucking wait by the side of the stage and I'm fucking it off when I get up there. I should, and literally called my name and I ran like the fucking Ultimate Warrior. Fucking mullet flapping in the fucking wind.
I could say that. I could
fucking ran. Just ripped away from her arm because it was evident how much, and if we were going to wait 60 seconds of people just clapping and they don't fully know why, and Danny has to stand there with his hand out, shaking my hand, as like it was fucking setting up. And she was like, we'll cut it together and be fine. He was like, no, every ounce of life in this room will be gone. And there's fucking, it's hard. We got to clap, and that will come across on camera. And thankfully it fucking did. Do you know what I mean? You could feel there was life in the fucking room, like, as a result. But like that, it was a fucking microphone stand. But that in her head was where her priority was at. And fuck the end product. Do you know, because she's not a creative. She's just a person making a fucking check. Like, so for you to send that to your mates being recorded in a club, of course they're not going to get 9/10 of the fucking atmosphere, based purely on material. Fuck's sake. Like, there's some of the stuff I say, you're going, you wouldn't fucking say that out loud to anybody. Like, but it's perfectly apt to say it in a comedy venue where it's going to work. Like,
yeah, I've got the stage now where friends are asking me, I'll kind of see your sets. I'm like, just come to one of the next shows and fucking see it instead, because it is just going to fall fucking dead. So, what's the point?
Yeah, and I always say that. Continue, forever and a day, say that. It'll almost, because there's be very little footage that I would even bother my whole sharing, because people go, is there stuff of you up on YouTube? Well, yeah, but just go fucking to a live show, you lazy prick. Like, just go to a show, because you'll get nothing. You'll go, like, that's not what that night was about. You just go, that wasn't bad now. That's not what it was,
It'll cost you a $5 or a $10 max. Just fucking go and say, like, fuck me, and you'll enjoy yourself. Fucking one of the other things I was going to ask you, see, over lockdown, you doing like Zoom fucking gigs and stuff?
I didn't really do Zoom gigs. I did one. I remember I did one and it wasn't a stand-up. Literally, I was sitting down, but it was material that was teed up between myself and Carl Spain, and he did it almost conversationally, and it worked. It actually worked, where I could rope it in, So it felt like a bit of a monologue, bit of a ranty monologue where he could chirp in every so often, and it wasn't so bad, because I just couldn't see how. And I'd seen people do stand-up, and I went, this is not going to be good at all. Like, but I've done, and I still do the odd corporate one as well, but they're so much easier, like, because you're not expected to do stand-up. You're literally having to crack with people, playing the odd game, they're drinking and stuff like that. But we all appreciate the situation and what it is. But I never did. I remember it was only somebody fucking messaged me about it. Did I ever get to the bottom? In the middle, we could have changed everything for everybody. Myself and a big events company, we were after selling car park, to a car park fucking in Limerick Racecourse. We're selling 400 fucking cars worth of tickets. It's me, Carl Spain, I think Joe Rooney, and we're going to be on a big LCD screen and stuff. And there was on before us, I think there was a cinema club or something on before us, and all those cars would ship out, and it was fucking, it was going to revolutionize, how comedy could be done during full on lockdown. Class. And it was going to be class. It was fucking class. We sold out like 400 fucking cars, 4 people in every car. It was going to be all right. It was going to be an all right day. And
good payday anyway.
The night before, it was a rival guy who had the fucking hump that, for whatever reason, he was a rival events company of some sort that was doing something similar somewhere else in the country, rang the guards in Dublin and made a formal complaint. When you make a formal complaint, that shit has to go up the ladder. When it literally says the word formal. If you just ring up and say, I'm making a complaint, and they say, okay, it can be the same as the nana bitching about fucking somebody's flower pots. But when the word formal is used, they got to ring the cops in Limerick. Guards in Limerick take the call, and they're like, what the fuck? Some of the guards were coming to this. You know what I mean? Some of the guards that were going to be on site were looking forward to seeing a bit of live fucking stand-up. And they had to shut it down. With the heaviest of hearts, the guards went, we gotta. Because they've told us to shut it down because they don't fully understand it. And they know it probably is okay. But it's fucking... everybody's hands was tied because there's weird fucking red tape. It was going back to my days of being in the office again. It was like, well, why am I doing that when there's literally no point? It was like, because that's the way we think it should be done. And that was what this situation was. And I swear, there'd been a while since the level of aggression had come out of me. And I got that going, I wouldn't be doing stand-up again because I'd be doing fucking 18 to fucking life for what I was fucking violent. I mean, fucking violent that night. I'd be fucking nearly tied. But yeah, and it would have, every fucking race course and big car park on the island would have gone for it. And had the cunt been halfway savvy and gone, boys, class fucking job you're doing there. Do you need a hand? Actually, you know what I mean? I'd love to get on board with you. Let's expand. Let's collaborate. Nah, nasty little cunt. By all accounts, he bought a huge big LCD screen. And I remember somebody tagged me, and a bunch of people tagged me in a thing. So he was heading up the north somewhere. I went under a bridge with this huge, big, brand new fucking Japanese LCD screen he'd bought for fucking tens of thousands. It was on a trailer, and it got jammed under a fucking bridge and broke in half. Broke the fucking trailer and everything. You're like, karma, bitch. And I wouldn't be one for revenge, like, but I'm kind of going, yeah, of course that happened to you, because you're fucking rotten to the core, you know. But it was
well, Titan the bastard. I hope his next shite's a hedgehog. The cunt.
Yeah, it was fucking venom that time. But yeah, I then fell back on doing some corporate hosting. Really was all I could fucking do, and the podcasting as well. You know what I mean? Kept me fucking taking over or whatever. Yeah. But it wasn't as tough on me. As also, we were kind of just out the country a little bit, and we had a fair bit of space, and I went into kind of not survival mode, but like, this is life now. This is life. Start making things out of pallets, and with a small young fella as well, like, you know, and a fucking dog. So things weren't too bad. It wasn't like I was cooped up in a fucking flat in the city center or whatever. You know what I mean? Where, you know, you can see why lads go fucking mad, like, you know, or fucking the drink could take over or whatever. And thankfully that didn't fucking happen. You know, thankfully that didn't fucking happen. But yeah, thankfully things are kind of back to normal. Well, they're not. They're not. Like, they're acting around with fucking venues, fucking numbers and stuff like that. But it's not completely closed down. Like, there's still the odd thing going on, you know. Like that. McCooey's on the 28th. Sure.
Yeah, that's gonna be a great one. But the thing is, like, we can't have a comedy club with fucking 100 people in it, but 10 Downing Street can fucking have a Christmas party in the middle of a
I don't know where the mystery is coming from. British people, these lads have been living in another world. Like, if I from here now, you know, somebody from Tipperary knows that there is such a class divide in England and Scotland, fucking whatever about Wales, but you know what I mean? There's such a class divide. They do whatever the fuck they want, like, and always have. Like, lads that go to Eton and Harrow, these, like, mental money, like, on a level of fucking smashing life that you could only fucking, you'll never hear these fuckers. Like, you know, I mean, like, I've ran across these people every so often, like, at weird events and stuff, and you're going, holy fuck, you're an alien. Like, you're an absolute alien. You don't have to be in our realm. Like, Saudi money, like that kind of money. And these lads, you know, the stuff I like from doing gigs abroad and stuff, and you end up meeting other people who are much bigger stars. I remember a very, very famous singer from the 90s, pop singer from the 90s and early 2000s. Like, the story she told me about just her run-ins with people, like, where you're going, what? And it spills over into the world at the likes of lads like Johnson and stuff, who went to, like, the fact that you could, you know, choose to have that man lead, like, represent your country, like that. You're looking at a cunt, but he's completely fucking inept. Like, you wouldn't let him clean the toilet, let alone, like, he'd be the fucking retard, bro. Like, he'd be the simple one that you go, don't let him do anything with sharp stuff. Look, Boris, stop it. No, I know you said licky, you likey. That's not the rule. We can't do that. We can't. Can you pick weeds? Because we got the garden at home. You stay at home with mom because you can't come to work. You're fucking mental. You can't, man, brush your fucking hair. At least take some sort of pride in your appearance. Like, but I've met politicians from here, and they're aliens. Like, they're literally walking around like this doe-eyed fucking glazed over looking there with their hand out ready to shake hands in the entire room. And almost none of them that I've ever met have I ever been impressed with. You're going, oh man, you're really just a fucking robot who's got the neck or / stupidity to stand in front of people and say the things like you would want to be some way fucking dim to say. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, high-end businessmen would never want to be the prime minister. Like, you know what I mean? They're not to fucking hope. The shit you'd have to deal with that, you know, would get in the way. So it would take a dumb bastard to say, and, you know, $10, like, fucking man, the shit that they, like, them and some of the wealthy people around the world, like, this, they're living in another realm. And if you talk to any even high up detective cops or anything, they'll tell you, listen, I've ran across stuff that would get you fucked in prison for 20 years. And you get a phone call going, walk the fuck away, because that's bigger than people in the country. That is bigger than everybody. You're not touching that. You're just not fucking touching that.
You're not reeling that fish in today, big son, not today.
No, and the fact that people still get surprised by it in this day and age, like they think everybody is making their honest buck, a living from. No, man, no. Like I said, it's like fucking 90% of people that are famous for one reason or another come from really wealthy backgrounds. That's the reality. That's the fucking reality. There's a handful make it through purely on the back of, and those are the stories you hear the backstory of, but you'll never hear Kid Rock's backstory where his parents were millionaires. Do you know? And he sings about being from the dirty South. He's from fucking Michigan, where his father made fucking gazillions of selling cars. But you never hear, you don't hear that shit. Like, and it's the same pours over into like, I remember being at an event, and it was like this dinner thing. We were all sitting around, and there was one of the guys who the Whitbread was the family name, and his name is something Whitbread. I don't know what Whitbread. I don't know anything about Whitbread or fucking without bread, whatever. Turns out the Whitbreads were pretty much the largest brewery owners in the UK. They owned all the Premier Inns. They owned all of Costa. They owned and have owned that level of shit for 10 generations. Like, and this guy was just a fucking, like, the level of obnoxious fucking cunt that this fella was. He was on a level that you couldn't even measure. You're going, fuck, man. Like, nobody in the world, if they heard this guy speak for 15 seconds, there wouldn't be a court in the land that would do you for fucking smashing him. Like, just the shit that he was coming out to, like, you're out of your fucking biscuit because you've never had to reel it in. He'd be hoovering up fucking coke, no bother, off some fucking child's arse and down Downing Street, doing whatever the fuck they want to do, because they'll never get nabbed for it. Never. They'll never.
You're hearing more and more reports coming through that, like, there's been fucking white powder fucking found in all fucking toilets and UK government or Irish government buildings too. Like, they fucking look like one of fucking Pablo Escobar's drug houses.
But can you imagine that job? Can you imagine that job on a daily basis? Sitting there listening to either some waffly old fat bastard just or you got to stand up and speak, and you haven't a fucking clue what your scriptwriter is talking about and what your people, they've just written this shit for you. So you're like, oh, well, I need to sell the confidence out of this anyway. So let's just fucking hoover a couple of lines and get myself in the zone. Because they're getting the best shit too. Like, their stuff isn't from the corner. Their stuff is good shit. Like, so they're getting
it hasn't been cut fucking 18 times before.
Nor did it travel in somebody's anus. It was good
Lucky
shit.
Bastard.
It came
bastards.
I mean, in that sense, I wouldn't blame them. But that's the least of it. That there's coke in the fucking toilets. That would be the least surprising thing. Like, you know what I mean?
I might become a politician.
I swear to God, I remember the old man saying it to me years ago. You want the fucking softest life ever. You just need to be kind of fucking stupid, because if you took everybody's problems on board, you'd end up hanging yourself. Like, you know what I mean? You couldn't operate as a normal functioning human and listen to that many fucking issues and that many problems and that many people, because nobody's ever happy with you. Yeah. But if you took all that on board, to do away with yourself. But the fact that these fellas just walk into work, like Leo Varadkar at the time when he was fucking Taoiseach, and during fucking lockdown, and he's slipping in fucking into his speeches, he was slipping in like lines from movies as a bit of good. Right. And you're like, motherfucker, I will chop your fucking head off with a fucking chainsaw if I ever see. Are you fucking joking me? The fuck, like Mean Girls too, like comedies, like ripping Terminator 2. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? It's the time to be fucking serious, and here's you.
I think I remember certain lines from like one of the Spider-Man movies being slipped in.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I would love to find out that he didn't do it, that it was a scriptwriter did it, and he's just sold it well, and the scriptwriter was taking the piss, and he's been fired since, whatever. But I don't know. I mean, I would imagine he fucking read over and went, this sounds fucking familiar. And you're like, yeah. Come on, let's a bit of brevity. Yep. We lighten the mood. We lighten the mood, will we? We lighten the mood as people fucking lose their fucking house. We lighten the mood, So it still shows the fucking divide is there going, I'm gonna fucking tell you bad things, but just because I think you're silly fucking people, I'm gonna slip in a fucking bit about a movie,
A good friend of mine once said that, the way, if you're looking to serve in the Irish Army or the UK or British Army or whatever, you have to go through mental psychiatric tests.
Yeah.
He said the same. If you have to go through that there to fight for your country, you should fucking have to go through that there to make the decisions for your country too. And I could not agree more.
Yeah, but like you could say that, but I mean, I agree. If we started over or we're starting new again, but it's that ship is fucking sailed, man.
Oh,
You know
like
what I mean? That ship,
done.
you ain't got. I talk to people who've gone into politics, and the world of them, same as going into any big institution. Like they'll go in with a fucking beautiful notion of changing the world and doing the right thing and all the rest of it, and doing the fucking Greta on it. But you won't get in there 2 fucking minutes, man, and you'll get a slap on the back of the neck and go, here, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, you took your fucking socks in, you cunt. If you think you're gonna stop fucking, you shut the fuck up, or we'll put you through the mincer, and you won't fucking last a week in here. And they would. That's politics the world over, like, you know what I mean? The only other option is to hand over to a fucking dictator, like, you know what I mean? All of a sudden we've got the same fucking haircut as the cunt, you know, and the banned fags, you know, like it's unfortunately it's the fucking but you know what it is? It's a good, all politics really is I would imagine, and this is fucking coming from an idiot who knows nothing about politics, but it's a great sideshow to what's really happening. Do you know what I mean? Not to put the tinfoil hat on, but people with real money are actually doing this shit. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like they're at the moment they're trying to sneak in a tax. They're trying to sneak in a tax where your parents can't lend you money without paying tax. You paying tax on it. Like, get the fuck. I will fucking get gold bullion. So I will get gold teeth put in that my father paid for. And that way I'll find a fuck. Are you joking me? You're going to try and tax me on parents lending you fucking money? Like, you know, if my parents had fucking money to lend. But do you know what I mean? Like, this is where, and they're just trying to sneak that under there and they're going, isn't the government crazy? Oh no. And all of a sudden that shit fucking arrives out the other end. You're like, hold the fucking phone, you cunts. When did you get that in? I know, we just put that in there. That's no big deal. It's okay. It's, you know, it's okay. You're fucking hell, man. Like, so people with real money are doing the actual shit and stuff. And politics, you know, fucking coke in the toilets, fucking party at Downing Street. That's the shit that will dominate everything and get everybody looking one way. And all of a sudden, you know, they level a fucking Arabic country. You know what I mean? Or something. You go,
as Gordo says, it's a distraction.
That's all it's ever been. If you go all the way back to fucking Roman times, that's all that shit has ever been. It's like, looky over here. Look, I'm fingering your bum around the back, but you don't see that because I did something that's making you really mad up here, you know. And
reminds me of my uncle, actually.
Yeah, the apple and the apple story again. There you go. It all comes full circle. Apples and circles.
I think what we need, like, you know, just sort the whole country out, and the north of Ireland and the south. It's just some hardcore bastard from the Moy just take over Ireland.
I've seen the hardcore bastards of the Moy, and they would last a day, maybe 10 hours, because they would just drink all the drinks and smoke all the fags and be dead before the end of the day. Unfortunately, it would start off with great gusto, but they'd blow the fucking beans inside fucking half a day. I've seen the carry on at the Moy, and it would be great for a day, and then it'd all go to fucking hell in the handbasket after that. Unfortunately, they'd alcohol poison and would eventually fucking catch up with them.
It's a real bastard to get home from too. If you go out in the Moy, like the Moy is literally the Joseph Fritzl of the north.
That was the fucking thing I noticed. I was like, we're in Silent Hill here. Actually, this is the temperature dropped by 4 degrees, like literally from a half mile outside the village into the fucking village. I'm like, what the fuck is after happening here? But we had a great night that night, and it was the night before, and obviously the wedding was fucking powerful crack. But it was so fucking. I like the over familiarity of people. They're like, hey, fucking, hey. I'm like, I don't fucking know this guy. He doesn't know me, but they're, you know, and like it was. I remember you had to stay in the B&B. The B&B was owned by the bar. Yeah, they were like, if you're here by, you know, after 8 o'clock, then you got to come up to the bar to get a key. It's like, all right, cool, yeah. But like by that, the sneaky fuck had you in the door buying pints for yourself. You're like, you're going nowhere without paying it. Like, I want to fucking get my shit in the room first. So fuck that. Yeah, all right. Like, all right, I suppose we're having a fucking drink. And I remember I said to your man, all right, anywhere around here we can grab a quick bite to eat. And they were like, hey, fucking. And this other fella with a fake hanging out his mouth was like, he was saying some restaurant was just about to close, so that was fucked. And he's like, "Hey, but there's a chinky down the road." I'm like, "I'd say you're not supposed to say that." I bet you're not supposed to say that. And your man was looking at me like, "Hey," but I have to explain to you, brother. But then again, I'm guessing you will never be pulled on it either. You will, even the Chinese lad would be like, "I run a chinky," and I'm okay with that because and you're like, "This is really fucking racist." But this is their thing. I'm not here to convert anybody. This is their thing. But I saw some of the most masculine women I've ever seen in my life. As I've described it like before, I saw Mickey Bartlett with decent tits. I mean, like the female Mickey Bartlett. And she just caught her friend in a fucking headlock and ran across the kind of outdoor bit of the bar to the stage area where they were playing fucking Hit the Diff or something. And she was just caught her by the fucking neck. And I mean, she manhandled that friend of hers. Like, that her friend would mean, like, "We're no longer fucking friends for the way you just grabbed me." But the friend was like, "Well, this is standard." And she just fucking reefed her. And like half an hour later, the same big old ox of a bird, she's wearing some bloke's Scania jacket. And just because, everybody's got a Scania jacket in the boy.
Right. Fucking right.
And she's got a fag in her hand. And she's straddling this dude on a fucking lawn chair and just wearing the fucking face off him like he owes her money or something. And it's still only about fucking 10 to 9. Like, this is some fucking place. I couldn't live here, but this is some fucking place. It has to be seen to be believed. Like,
it is no man's land. The fucking police do not go anywhere near the place. But you're saying there how it looked like Mickey Bartlett with tits. Are you sure this wasn't Mickey Bartlett?
No, I said, no, you didn't pick up on that. I said nice tits.
Oh, well, he does have nice tits anyway. It probably was.
He does.
It probably was him, for fuck's sake.
When I told Mickey about it, he was like, "Go on. Tell me more."
So what's next for the podcast? What's next for you? What's the plans for 2022? We'll record an hour 15 there. We'll wrap this up in the next 10.
I suppose the next thing we're launching, hopefully going to launch a fun, good crack rugby podcast. Myself, and she's a pro rugby player. She plays with Gloucester in the UK. Anna Capes, she's an Irish player as well, and played with the Barbarians. Very, very funny woman, and wants to do a good crack one. So that's in the pipeline. Hopefully if we can find time in her schedule, really, like, as well as that, then we haven't released anything on it, but myself and she's a comic from Cork, Laura Mahony, we're hoping to put together a stage show, like not just straight stand up, bit of bits and pieces. Something that I'm very excited about is just actually a bit of a mixture, a bit of crack, and actually make a show. You know what I mean? Not go full fucking dancers and shit or singing or anything like that, but just a full show where there's 3 or 4 different elements to the night. And when she mentioned that to me, I was like, yeah, that sounds like something I'd be rightly fucking up for. You know what I mean? So hopefully, all you can do is, we don't fucking know what's happening. All you can do is try and make plans for these things. I mean, the podcast is going gangbusters, like it's fucking flying. So, I mean, every week there's the usual episode out on a Friday, and then I do I do a Ramble Pod midweek, which is purely for the Patreons. And it's great. It's great because I find myself saying things, not that you're fucking saying it defamatory, but you're kind of a bit looser around the fucking edges. You know what I mean? Because I'm just speaking ad nauseum. Like, and I know who it's for. It's for the kind of people that are into my humor, and only for them. So you kind of, it is a bit loose. And I do live shows with purely the Patreons as well, where we don't record it or nothing. We just all have a fucking drink. I pick a subject, and we just fucking let it rip. And when people know it's not been recorded, they're like, "Will I tell you, this bitch of a sister of mine?" And it's funny, it's great, everybody's in it, and it's cathartic for people too who aren't getting out the shit, or they're speaking to kind of strangers too. It's kind of a fucking therapy session, if nothing else.
Oh, well, if you need somebody to make a dick of themselves for your stage show, I'm more than willing to do it. Big rugby playing fucking farmer over here will fucking go nuts.
Good.
And for your rugby podcast too, we actually had the Good and the Bad and the Rugby podcast in Dungannon there, which was fucking unbelievable.
I'd imagine it was that Haskell and whatchamacallit.
Haskell, Tyndall, and Alex.
Yeah.
It was fucking class with Stephen Ferris, above other British and Irish Lions, Stuart McKinney, Trone Howe, what do you call the other girl? I can't remember what her name was. Stephen Ferris was there too. It was fucking, what a day, bro. What a fucking day.
They do. By all accounts, they put on a great fucking show. Yeah, the Rugby Pod as well puts on a great show as well. Yeah, there's they typically they seem to be really good fucking shows, you know what I mean? And it's some of those podcasts, like they're great. And we won't try and emulate them emulate, yeah, but not copy them, do our own fucking take on it. But because you listen to a lot of these sports podcasts and they're so fucking dry. You're like, Jesus Christ, all you're doing is spouting facts and figures. And you're listening to, ex-players who have the weekly gig on it. They're literally saying the same thing over and over. It was a tremendous effort. You're like, fuck, is there another word? And that's their jam. But it's like, you're actually making the sport less fucking interesting. You know what I mean? Like, fucking hell tonight. So
there's an idea that I'm sort of currently toying with, and I'll actually run it by you here. So what you might think of it. I'm considering like almost doing like podcast commentary on live rugby matches.
Yeah, absolutely do it. I would love to have the time to do it. And I've put it out to the masses and they were like, this would be I would listen to this. Yeah. Like there's a great guy. I used to laugh at the old man years ago. He couldn't listen to RTE during the All-Ireland finals and stuff like that. He'd go, fuck me. Your man is so slow off the mark. And he'd put on the radio and it was like great. And they'd be in sync, you know what I mean? Because it's RTE or whatever. But it was, what? You're fucking weird. The commentary is the commentary. But there's a great guy called Michael Corcoran. And like, he's so over the top. He's a color commentator. Like, he's like fucking the Joe Rogan of, he's better. He's like fucking Daniel Cormier or something of rugby. Like, you know what I mean? He'll say, he's after hitting a man 7,000 times. And you're like, yeah, fucking, because that's where your brain should be at. Crazy town. Sports, it's supposed, don't tell me exactly what's fucking happening. Give me some life, you know what I mean? So I'd love to do something like that if I had the time. So you definitely should. Yeah, I think it's absolutely worth it. Like, it's just do live commentary over it.
Yeah. Just get somebody else on with a couple of pints going, fucking chatting shit, commentating the game, and just fucking let loose and go nuts for an hour and a half.
There's so much going on, especially, it'd be tough, I reckon, to do soccer. Because it's still kind of the same thing. For all intents and purposes, I don't know the nuances of football / soccer. I don't know the nuances of it. Like, so I couldn't tell you what their formations are and stuff.
I don't follow it either. I fucking hate the sport.
They're literally one man kicks a ball and another man kicks a ball and they kick a ball. And that's it. They just they don't touch with fuck all else, bar their head, rarely. And that's it. And literally, soccer is a continuous game of failures. Like, it's continuously failing to score a goal. It's literally, your goal keeps on getting sniffed out. So it's continuous failure. There's almost no successes bar, I managed to pass it to a man in the same jersey as me. That's it. And as Spike Milligan said it beautifully about soccer. He was like, I went to a soccer match once and it was 0-0. I went down to the gate and asked my fucking money back. You're like, yeah. Proper order. There's no sport that could honestly come away 0-0. You'll never see it in 99% of sports. But I don't know, for some reason, it seems to be a fucking popular thing. But I couldn't see it. But there's so much happening. There's so much fucking happening in rugby. Like, there's so many mad looking cunts from various sizes and everything. You know what I mean? At the very least, you could just talk about the fucking size of some of these freaks. And
that's just the crowd as well.
Yeah. Although in fairness, they're cute out. They always swing around and find a good-looking chick. They're like,
you don't even have to get somebody specific on. If somebody wants to sit down and chat for 5 minutes on the microphone beside you, fucking work away too. Like, there's so many avenues you can go down with it.
I think it's well worth it. I'm sure it's been done. It'd be worth looking at done with some other sports, like, you know what I mean? Like, you see Aussie Man reviews and stuff like that, where he just does clips and stuff. But it's fucking hilarious. It's along those lines. Like, he's just with a fagging, he's a fucking guy, fucking body, fucking fuck. And there's not a lot of thought put into it. Bar your man's just talking fucking, verbatim, just firing away at whatever he's fucking. And literally, the content is there in front of you. That's the beauty of something like that. There's a thing going on. You're not speaking into space, which is tricky. But when there's a thing going on, you know what I mean? The amount of people that get fucking busted. You see somebody like fucking Tig fucking Furlong taking off. You're like, well, that's 10 minutes of talking, just looking at that cunt.
He's my dream man. He's fucking he's a majestic beast.
There's a few. I think there's a lot of love for Tig Furlong. Literally, myself and Geddes have. It's unhealthy, I'd say, and I would never say it to the man. Although I probably will blurt it out at some stage. So I've had a good few rugby players on the podcast and stuff like that, but there's a lot of unhealthy fascination with, it was almost like Emmanuel Ruiz when he knocked out fucking was it Joshua he beat that time?
Yeah.
Fucking fat lump just knocked out the fucking a big heavyweight. And people were like, yes. People love Tyson Fury. He's got the deadest bod of all dead bods.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Not a fucking ab in sight. And he's still knocking lads out. And you're going, yes. He's fucking hairy. He doesn't wax the chest or nothing. Beautiful. And then people look at Tyke Furlong, but then you're kind of going, no, you've never stood beside somebody like Tyke. He is not, he's built like Brock Lesnar. Trust me. He may have a bit of puppy fat on, but you need that for front row in the scrum. You need that cushion. But trust me, if you strip the fat off that man, he'd look like Brock Lesnar.
I would love, like, maybe in a loose head prop, I would love to fucking scrum against him. I would love to, just for the experience alone.
How many milliseconds you reckon you'd last at him at 60%?
Fucking, no,
60%. He'd drive you into the ground like a fucking tent peg. Like, you know what I mean? Your head would literally go backwards out your hole. Like, he's so much power coming through. Because I think Geddes had we were literally talking about the man back and forth at an unhealthy fucking depth. But it was like, I think Geddes has an appreciation. Now he lives in the country. He's seen these country fellas and how fucking and I used to joke about this. He was like, I've never been frightened in living in Dublin. Never. There's almost nobody is dangerous. They go, no, it takes a group of cunts to be dangerous and carrying a weapon. You can get your head around that. It's one man who could beat up 6 people. That's who, with nothing other than a fucking rolled up fag hanging out the corner of his mouth. And you know what I mean? Could do a day's work after drinking 20 pints. Like, these are the people. And that's what he comes from. It's just generations of cow people who literally can manhandle cows. You have, like, when you have sheep, you have to have a sheepdog. When you have cows, you become a cow person. Like, literally, if you want to manhandle these giant fucking half-ton fucking beasts, you have to become a tank. And that's what, like, when you see him from a side profile, he's got Brock Lesnar's build. You're like, oh yeah. And then because he played Gaelic football, he's got fucking ridiculous feet as well. Like, but you'll see more and more. You'll see more and more of that coming through. Like, because 10 years ago, lads that were propping and stuff like that, they didn't need to know how to pass. It was never a question. But you see kids now, like any of the private schools, not so much. I mean, at a much smaller level in Munster, but you see the schools in Dublin. Like, I had Dennis Leamy on the podcast. We're good friends for years, and he was like, Tom, you have no idea what's coming. There are props who could easily put on the 9 jersey and just play as a 9. They're that fit, fast. Their hands are that good. They can sidestep, snipe. And he says, these are kids 16 to 17 years of age, and they're 18, 19 stone, 6'2". Fucking fuck. He says, like, next level mutants. They all, like Leamy's a mutant. You know what I mean? He was a man, like, there is not a bigger pair of hands in international rugby. He's voted the biggest hands that have all these. He reckoned Dev Toner had bigger hands than him, but like thick, like that man thickness, like thick, like a fucking pork chop, but like paws, like we used to call him Mars bar fingers, like, because his fingers literally look like giant cocks, like decent sized cocks, like they were. But even he said it, goes, there's 17-year-olds, my build, 6'1", 18 stone, and furiously good at everything, passing, fucking kicking. You get props, kicking training with the kickers after fucking training. You're like, what the fuck? These freak shows are coming through in the next generation that will change what we know as rugby, like. And the likes of Tyke Furlong, he's just a kind of precursor to it. We got lucky with him, but you're going to see lads coming through. You see the fucking lad at the weekend, Dan Sheehan. He's a monster. He's 6'3". And he's got weight to put on yet. Like, he's going to put on another 2 stone yet. And he's sidestepping fucking wingers. You're like, get the fuck out of here.
That's crazy. The only 2 high-profile characters that I've scrummed against was Justin Fitzpatrick and Joe. I had the pleasure of scrumming against Joe Marler.
Mother of God. Where did you scrum against him?
I was over in Hull visiting a friend, and there was an open training session, and he was sitting talking to somebody at the side, and I was like, here, I got my boots, sir. Can I just fucking have a go at it? And he started taking his fucking trousers off, but I told him, here, it's actually just, I just want to scrum against you.
Yeah. I definitely thought you wanted to fuck him as well. So, okay. Joe Marler's pretty charming. He's pretty charming.
Yeah, he's great. He's actually going to come on the podcast. So that's my first guest of 2022, so it is.
That's class.
And yeah, we fucking crouch, touch, pause, bang. Fucking, I was gone. Like, he absolutely destroyed. That's a different fucking level of gravy, that.
But you're talking about lads that are just, it's in their bones and everything at that stage. There's
Yeah.
there's a density level that you just, you know what I mean? Their entire body is cauliflower at that stage. You know what I mean? There's nothing. They don't feel nothing. Fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, their spines are going to be, I mean, they're probably, you know, have the proper muscle mass to support and stuff, but mother of fucking Jesus Christ. Like, and to be able to drive with that power from, it's not like the Crash anymore where they used to just touch and fucking smash or just smash.
I miss that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of I had John Fogarty on, and I had his brother Dennis, who are both hookers from Munster and Leinster, respectively. Like, but they both said it. They love that spark where you're like, oh, I can't fucking breathe for 3 seconds. Oh, I can't. Where am I? You know, they love that fucking freaky moment. But also, John said, as a direct result of that, I started forgetting where I left my fucking house. So, you know, there's that.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like that 1 foot fucking break between each forehead, and you're just like, right, bang, fucking. I'll talk about a rush as well. That's the only thing I can compare to doing comedy.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's the most primal thing you could probably fucking do in regular sports, other than I suppose fucking MMA or whatever. Like, but it's pretty fucking primal. You know what I mean? Just go smash like a fucking cow, like literally a fucking bovine. We're gonna smash off each other if that's okay.
Well, here, look, that's an hour and a half. We'll record. They'll wrap this up. The thing I always ask my guests that I have on is, like, do you have any life advice to listeners? Just, it can be absolutely anything.
Best life advice: be the hungriest cunt you can be. Hunger. No matter what, how much money or not money, don't make it about anything. Just fucking be hungry without thinking about it. Because if you put too much focus, that is not fucking life coaching shit. If you put too much focus on a singular thing, and go, well, it's that thing, and it sidesteps you, or somehow you don't get your fucking hands on it, you can get very fucking disappointed. But just stay blissfully fucking hungry. Be kind of fucking thick enough. You know what I mean? Be fucking half stupid about it, like, without putting too much thought into it. But just be the hungriest fucking version of yourself you can be. And don't bitch, moan and complain if you're not, and stuff doesn't come your fucking way because you didn't fucking put it in. And I hate to use the word hustle because every cunt is using them, you know, and I'm get very critical over those things. Like, but it literally is, I suppose, hustle. But if you're sound, three items: sound, turn up on fucking time, and be a hungry cunt. Other than that, you'll be all right. Like, well, no matter what you're doing, if you're fucking stacking shelves in fucking B&Q, if you go with those 3 fucking things, you'll be all right. But fucking, there'll be nothing else fucking to worry you. Just turn up on time, be fucking sound, and be a hungry cunt.
That's brilliant. Well, here, thank you very much for coming on. That was finally we got it. We got this podcast recorded after quite some time. It was unfortunate circumstances that ruined it last time, but it is what it is.
I'm sure we got it done. We got it done in the end. Nice and Christmassy.
Nice and Christmassy. This has been Smitty. That's been Tom. Win the morning, win the day, and good luck.
Good luck.